Ava sighs, stretching lazily as morning light spills through the curtains. The room hums with quiet stillness, that kind of Sunday calm that makes every sound sharper. I blink up at her, still half-dazed, my thoughts tangled somewhere between yesterday's memories and today's silence. She glances at me, one brow lifted, amusement flickering in her eyes. "Coffee's getting cold," she says softly. Her tone is teasing, but something in her gaze lingers a beat too long, like she's searching for a truth she hasn't said aloud. Before we go any further, take a quick second to hit like and subscribe. It's free, it helps more than you know, and it keeps stories like this alive. Thank you. Now let's begin. For 3 years, I'd been chasing peace that never stayed. My life looked fine from the outside, work, friends, the occasional night out, but inside, everything felt muted, like someone had dimmed the brightness, and I'd forgotten where the switch was. 2 glasses of wine in, sitting across from Ava that night, I'd said it without thinking. If I don't feel something real soon, I might actually lose my mind. The words fell heavy between us. Too raw, too honest. Ava had laughed, a short, surprised sound, before setting her glass down. "That bad?" she asked. "Worse," I admitted. "My ex. Well, he wasn't exactly the adventurous type. I thought being single would be fun. Turns out it's just bad dates and even worse small talk." She tilted her head, studying me. "So what's stopping you from choosing differently?" I laughed, but it sounded hollow even to me. "Oh sure, let me just grab the nearest guy who looks half awake and pretend he's worth it." But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't about that. I didn't want anyone. I wanted to feel wanted again. And that's a very different thing. She leaned back, swirling her drink, eyes reflecting the golden light of the bar. "You know," she murmured, "I think I have a solution." "Please don't say a dating app," I groaned. "I swear if I see one more profile of a guy posing with a fish." "Not an app." Her lips curved into a small, knowing smile. "Something better." I frowned. "Better how?" Her smile deepened. "You'll see." For a moment, she looked almost mischievous, the kind of look she used to have back in college right before a dare. But there was something new in it too, confidence, maybe even a touch of challenge. "Ava," I said slowly, "what are you thinking?" "You said you want something real," she replied. "I'm offering you a way to feel that again. No games. No pretending." I stared at her, half expecting her to burst into laughter. But she didn't. She just sipped her wine again, her eyes steady on mine, calm, almost too calm. "That's insane," I whispered finally. "Maybe," she said. "But tell me you're not curious." For days after that conversation, her words haunted me. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was loneliness. But mostly, it was curiosity, that quiet, dangerous thing that slips in when logic falls asleep. I replayed her expression in my head, that look of certainty. She wasn't joking. And that terrified me more than anything. By the time I saw her again, I'd convinced myself to laugh it off, pretend it never happened. But Ava never forgot things she meant. We met at her apartment the following weekend. Same wine. Same low music. Same slow, comfortable rhythm of conversation that always made me forget the clock. But there was a tension now, subtle, electric. Every word seemed to carry a hidden edge. When I finally brought it up, "You were serious, weren't you?" She didn't even hesitate. "Of course I was," she said simply. "You deserve to feel alive again." I laughed nervously. "And you think you can fix that?" Her eyes flickered with something unreadable. "Not me. But maybe the idea of not holding back can." The room felt smaller suddenly, like the air had thickened around us. "You sound like you've already planned this," I said quietly. "Maybe I have," she replied. "Or maybe I just want to see what you do when someone gives you permission to stop pretending." Later that night, as rain tapped gently against the window, a soft knock echoed through her apartment. Ava didn't move for a second. Then she stood, smoothed her dress, and looked back at me. "You don't have to stay," she said. Her voice was calm, almost kind. "But if you do, maybe something in you will finally stop holding its breath." I sat frozen. My pulse was a drum in my ears. Part of me wanted to leave, to step outside, to breathe fresh air and laugh at how close I'd come to doing something reckless. But another part of me, Quieter, older, more desperate. Wanted to stay and finally understand what she meant. When she opened the door, a tall figure stood there, rain-damp and silent. His presence filled the space instantly, confident, unshaken, yet somehow gentle. He looked at Ava first, then at me. There was no judgment in his eyes. Just awareness. Early as always, Ava murmured, her tone half teasing, half nervous. He smiled faintly, the kind of smile that said he understood more than either of us wanted to admit. "This is her?" he asked quietly. Ava nodded. "Yes." Silence stretched between the three of us. The world outside faded. The rain, the distant city hum, everything blurred into that single, suspended moment. My heartbeat was the only sound I could hear. Ava turned to me, her voice soft. "You can still leave." But I didn't move. Because in that moment, it wasn't about him, or her, or whatever unspoken game was happening here. It was about something else entirely. The sudden, raw realization that maybe the thing I'd been missing wasn't passion at all. It was permission, to want something. To be seen. That night didn't end the way anyone expected. There were no lines crossed, no secrets spilled. Just a quiet, painful honesty that filled the room until it broke something open inside me. Ava, for all her teasing, wasn't offering chaos. She was offering clarity, a mirror, to show me how much of myself I'd buried under fear and politeness. By the time dawn light spilled across the floor, everything felt different. The silence between us was softer, no longer awkward, more like understanding. "Feel better?" Ava asked. I smiled faintly. "Not yet. But maybe closer." She nodded, as if that answer was exactly what she'd hoped for. Morning light spilled across the living room, gold and silent. The air felt heavier than before, like the walls had absorbed every word, every breath from the night before. Ava stood by the window, sipping coffee, her expression unreadable. Her husband, Daniel, sat opposite her, quietly turning his wedding ring between his fingers. He hadn't said much since last night. Neither had I. I wasn't sure what we were now, accomplices in silence, or witnesses to something we couldn't name. Finally, Ava broke the quiet. "You know what's funny?" she said, her tone almost casual. "Sometimes people come into your life to remind you of who you used to be." I looked at her, unsure if she was talking to me or to him. Daniel glanced up. "And sometimes," he said softly, "they remind you what you've lost." Ava's gaze flickered toward him, just for a second, then back to me. "You see," she murmured, "we're all chasing something." Later that afternoon, Ava asked if I wanted to go for a walk. The city was quiet, washed clean by rain. We wandered through narrow streets lined with old trees, our reflections merging in puddles that mirrored the pale sky. "You think I'm crazy," she said suddenly. I hesitated. "A little." She smiled faintly. "Good. Then you're still sane." We walked a few more steps before she added, "You know why I said what I said that night?" I shook my head. "Because I saw you sitting there, trying to look fine, laughing at your own pain. And I realized, I've been doing the same thing for years." I stopped walking. "You." Ava's laugh was soft, almost tired. "You think being married fixes everything? Daniel's a good man. Kind, steady, loyal. But sometimes steadiness becomes silence. And silence feels a lot like loneliness." Her words hung between us, honest and unashamed. "So what was that? Some kind of test?" I asked. "Maybe," she said. "Or maybe I just wanted to see if I could still feel something real, through you." I looked at her, really looked. Beneath the sharp wit and confidence, there was something cracked. Something raw. "You're not heartless," I said quietly. "Neither are you," she replied. "That's what makes this dangerous." That evening, Daniel found me on the balcony, where the city lights stretched endlessly into the distance. He leaned against the railing, leaving space between us, respectful, careful. "You're wondering why I agreed," he said without looking at me. I didn't deny it. He took a slow breath. "Ava doesn't ask questions she doesn't already know the answers to. When she told me about you, I knew it wasn't about what it sounded like." I turned toward him. "Then what was it about?" He met my eyes, calm, steady. "She wanted to remind herself she still mattered. And maybe she wanted to remind you that you do too." His words sank deep, quiet and unguarded. Did she ask you to say that? I whispered. He smiled faintly. No. But I know her. And I know pain when I see it. I studied him for a moment, his posture, the small tiredness in his eyes. He wasn't the villain my imagination had painted. He was human, carrying his own share of quiet regrets. What about you? I asked. What do you want out of all this? He hesitated, then said softly, peace. For both of you. The next morning, I woke before dawn. The city was still half asleep, fog rolling across the streets like a slow tide. In the mirror, I barely recognized myself. Not because of guilt, but because I felt awake for the first time in years. Ava appeared in the doorway, her reflection beside mine. You look different, she said. Doi. You look like you stopped apologizing for existing. I laughed quietly. That's one way to put it. Ava smiled, then stepped closer. Maybe that's all I wanted. For both of us to stop pretending. Over the next few days, our friendship began to shift, quietly, delicately. We didn't talk about that night again. We didn't need to. Instead, we filled the silence with small things. Long walks, shared meals, music humming low through the speakers. But underneath it all was the unspoken truth. That sometimes the people who break your walls aren't meant to stay. They just show you how to open the door. One evening, as I was leaving, Ava walked me to the door. Do you regret it? She asked softly. I thought about it. The confusion, the tension, the strange tenderness of it all. Then I shook my head. No, I said. I think it was exactly what it needed to be. Ava smiled. Not her usual confident smirk, but something real, small, and almost fragile. Then maybe we both learned something. Maybe, I whispered. Daniel appeared in the hallway behind her, watching us quietly. For a moment, our eyes met, and I understood. Whatever this had been, it had changed all three of us in ways words couldn't describe. A few weeks later, I found an envelope on my doorstep. No return address, just my name, written in Ava's familiar looping handwriting. Inside was a short letter. Some things are meant to wake us, not keep us. You reminded me that honesty isn't always comfortable, but it's necessary. Don't lose that day. I read it twice before folding it back, feeling something shift quietly inside me. Maybe what we'd shared wasn't love. Maybe it wasn't even friendship in the ordinary sense. It was something rarer. A mirror held up to the parts of ourselves we were too afraid to see. Months later, when I thought of Ava and Daniel, I didn't feel regret. Just gratitude for the storm they unknowingly pulled me through. Because sometimes life doesn't give you heroes or villains. It gives you mirrors. People who show you who you are when the world stops pretending. And that, I realized, was what Ava had really offered me. Not her husband. Not temptation. But a glimpse of the version of myself I'd buried beneath years of fear and longing. As I stood by the window that night, city lights flickering like restless stars, I whispered to no one in particular. I'm still here. And I'm finally alive.